Hello, today I'll be showing VivaEdu's complete integration with Blackboard Learn Ultra. So a quick summary, VivaEdu basically transforms academic assessment for the AI age through scaled oral defense sessions, ensuring that students genuinely understand their work. So from the landing page here, you can access the Blackboard Learn Ultra sandbox creation screen. You can create your own free instance yourself, completely free, no email required. And it works on any computer. So let's do that now. So I get the instructor login details as well as the student login details in case I want to come back. So I'll copy those now. But let's begin. So this is the activity stream for Learn Ultra. Quick note, this is all mock data for demonstration purposes. This is not a real academic setting. So this is a mock module called Introduction to Christian Theology. And here's an assignment on the Good Samaritan. For this demo, I want to show how oral defenses work when students need to engage with primary texts, not just, reciting memorized essays. And so for this assignment, if the students truly understood the material, well, they'd be able to reference it live and think on their feet in a Q&A. Theology isn't about memorizing essays, it's about analyzing scripture and history in real time. But the question arises, how do you verify that understanding at scale without spending hours in one-on-one meetings? Well, this is exactly what VivaEdu here solves. So let's click on it now, and let's begin. So here we have the instructor dashboard. This is where we see the content related to the course. As you can see, it fetches the Blackboard assignment. Up here is the students, the review queue, and so let's create an asynchronous Q&A Viva for this assignment. We can also see the submissions here. Not that there are any at the moment, but in case there were, we would see it there. So here's the title and description. I'm quite happy with this, to be honest. So let's go next to the due date and time. Let's just choose the 2nd of January. I also have the opportunity to make the Viva available only between a start and end time. For example, if I wanted everybody to take this within a 3-hour period, that could be something that I can do. I plan on creating a real academic defense session here. And so maybe even a seminar, similar to something like a seminar discussion. So in the next step, the Viva configuration, this will be requiring a lot more prep time. So even though we can go with the quick Viva, we can customize our own settings here. So we can choose 4 questions. And given that this will require a lot of prep time, I'm thinking maybe 2 minutes here. Perfect, looks good. So next, let's get into creating the questions. So to save some time here, before I get into doing this, with theological work, it requires you to actually reference the text. And those doing this asynchronous Q&A would need to perhaps say a religious passage for their reference right in front of them, just like they would in a real academic defense or seminar discussion. So to really solve this issue, it would be great if we could upload some context, and that's what I'll be doing now. These will be reference materials containing the relevant passages. It is called Luke 10 reference materials here. And these are basically the relevant materials that will help students do this Viva. All right, so now for the questions. I do have some pre-created questions. But here, for first, we can just type one up. This question is on verse 31 and 32 from the context that I just uploaded in the PDF. Just FYI, I can add an image if I want. I can make it required for all students, or I can record a video prompt. But first, let me just go over the different question pool types. So we can create a large pool of questions if we want each student to get a different sample selection, or we can do structured slots here to ensure that everybody gets the exact same questions, one after the other. But we'll choose big pool here. So next, let's do a video prompt. So this allows it to be a lot more personalized, more like a real Q&A, rather than just a one-way session back and forth. So let's begin. So the framework on page 4 of the context uploaded mentions the scandal of grace. Can you talk me through how your essay handled the ethnic and religious dynamics between Jews and Samaritans? So I can re-record here, but I'm quite happy with that. So we can just upload and generate the transcript. So the framework on page 4 of... All right, looks good. So next, for the third question, let's do something about the parable. So I've got this question here. Now, with this question, as you can see, their response would vary based on their essay submission. So I think here it would be best to add a tailored follow-up question based on their reply to this question. And so we can do this with the following feature here, the add follow-ups feature, which is essentially like a if this, then ask this. That's the most simple way that I can put it. So for example, in their response, if they focused on the redefinition of neighbor, then we can ask them this question on verse 29, where the lawyer asks, who is my neighbor? But if instead they focus more on costly love and action, our tailored follow-up question can be this instead, looking at verses 34 to 35 in the uploaded context materials. Sorry. All right, so I'm quite happy with that. Looks good. Let's continue. So this step is the students' accommodations and assessment settings. Here we can allow some Viva-wide accommodations. There's no students yet in this class, even though that will change later on. But we can also do a random sample selection of the students too. This is the rubric and terminology step. I'll keep this brief, but we can essentially name the rubric, give descriptions, and also select it for a specific question. VivaEdu gives you a lot of flexibility in how you want your asynchronous Q&As to be built, but these are all optional here. You can also configure terminology, which highlight terms in the student's transcripts, and also set up an export zip email to a certain recipient. All right, looks good. Let's publish. So returning to the dashboard now, we can see the active Vivas and the activity feed, which is, of course, empty at the moment. And we can see the Viva that we just created down here. This would be the list of students. And I also have the ability here to enable web sign-in settings and see some legal stuff here. But let's switch over to the student side in Blackboard. So we can do this here in Learn Ultra in the top right bar, in the top right. So additionally, you could also sign out yourself and log in using the created student account details that were configured in the sandbox creation. But as you can see here in the announcements, we've got a new VivaEdu assignment that has been published, and it appears here as well. While I haven't submitted the essay to this assignment yet, I will just get to doing the Viva on the student side now. So here in the student dashboard, I can do a test tutorial Viva, which is self-contained. Nothing's recorded, and I can do this as many times as I want to just get a feel for this software. I can see my classes, and I can also see my settings and preferences. So the student experience is very important here at VivaEdu, and so I can set some non-Viva altering accommodations for pure quality of life improvements. But enough talking, let's begin the Viva. So I haven't submitted yet, and it knows that, so let's just continue anyway. And so basically, VivaEdu was created to be student-focused, and this isn't some buzzword term loosely thrown around. This genuinely was created to be a pleasant, stress-free experience for the student, or at least as much as it can be. This is not an interrogation, nor is it some anxiety-inducing software. It's more of a stress-free reflection of their work and genuine understanding of the topic at hand that they are here to learn. So let's continue. This is the preview setup screen. I can do a test tone here. I can do a practice question, configure my microphone, and importantly, I can consent to video storage. Let's begin.
In your exegesis, did you primarily emphasize the parable as a redefinition of who counts as a neighbor, or did you focus more on it as a lesson about the costliness of genuine love and action?
So as you heard, it reads out the question. I can play this again if I want, but I have access to the reference materials here, which is really important for a lot of use cases for VivaEdu, for a lot of assignments where this is needed, because we do not want people to switch between tabs in a panic or read off something they shouldn't be reading off of. So I'm not sure if you can see this in the screen recording, but I can see the important verses here, and this is what I would be using to start my answer. So let me begin. So in my essay, I went with the redefinition of neighbor as my main thread. The lawyer wants boundaries. Who do I have to care about? But see, Jesus, he basically reframes it entirely. He doesn't answer, who is your neighbor? He asks, well, who acted like a neighbor? It's not about categorizing people. It's more about how you act. All right, I'm happy with that. So now I can submit and continue.
Looking back at verse 29, where the lawyer asks, "Who is my neighbor?" do you think Jesus actually answers that question, or does he dodge it?
So
reference the specific way Jesus responds in verses 36 to 37 on your screen.
So as you can see, as it knew that I mentioned the neighbor in my prior response, it routed me correctly to this branch follow-up question. So looking at verses 36 to 37, just reading these now, let me think for a second. I'm going to start recording now. Well, he brilliantly dodges it. Verse 36, Jesus asks, which of these three was a neighbor? But then see, in verse 37, as I'm reading now, after the lawyer admits it was the one that showed mercy, Jesus just says, go and do likewise. He never answers, who is your neighbor? He flips it to, are you being a neighbor? The lawyer wanted permission to limit his obligations, but Jesus says that's the wrong question entirely. Okay, next question. So the framework on page 4 of the context uploaded mentions the scandal of grace. Can you talk me through how your essay handled the ethnic and religious dynamics between Jews and Samaritans? Yes, I can. Samaritans and Jews basically had centuries of bad blood. Jews saw Samaritans as heretics, as most would avoid traveling through Samaria entirely. So making the Samaritan the hero while the Jewish religious leaders fail is shocking. In my essay, I focused on how Jesus deliberately flips expectations. As I'm reading here in the context, it's clear that the audience would have expected the third character to be a regular Jewish person doing the right thing, but instead it's the enemy. And that's the whole point. The neighbor isn't about ethnic categories, it's really about who shows mercy. Okay?
Looking at verses 31 and 32 in the passage on your screen, the priest and Levite both passed by on the other side. In your essay, you discussed why they might have done this.
Okay, so, right. The priest and the Levite would have been temple officials, and touching blood or a dead body makes you ritually unclean. So that means they can't perform their religious duties until purification. So there's a genuine conflict, really, happening that's between helping someone and serving in the temple. But I argued that Jesus isn't really giving them a pass. He's showing how religious obligation basically becomes an excuse for ignoring human suffering. The Samaritan, it has no purity concerns. He just acts out of compassion. I think Jesus is definitely critiquing them here. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now I can submit and continue. All right, Viva is complete. Sorry for the wait. So now returning to the dashboard, I can see the submission here. And this is an opportunity for me to provide an optional clarification comment for maybe something like minor issues, like my Wi-Fi dropped out, door slam halfway through. Or I can say the transcript incorrectly picked up a word. Despite this speech-to-text transcription feature being very sophisticated and advanced, it can make errors. And here is the option for the student to really clarify what they meant. So let's exit out of the student side. And let's go back to the instructor side from Learn Ultra. So there's one total Viva awaiting review. And as you can see here in the activity feed, I can view it here. So let's just start the tutorial. This is the area that shows the question. This is the area with the rubric and the place for me to leave feedback. The bottom bar, the bar on the left shows progression, and the bar at the top shows who I am grading. It's designed to be very quick, fast, seamless, and importantly, very easy to learn. VivaEdu was not created to be the software that you need to spend hundreds of hours learning. I've tried to create it as simple and easy to learn as possible. So here I can read the comments. Down here I can see the transcripts. So let's play the video. So in my essay, I went with the redefinition of neighbor as my main thread. The lawyer wants boundaries. Who do I have to care about? But see... Okay, looks good. So I'll give that a score of 4. Next question. So this routed because of my prior response. Well, he brilliantly dodges it. Looks good. Next. Yes, I can. Yes, you can. Now here I can record video feedback. Superb work. And this also generates a transcript of this as well. And just looking at the transcript here, perhaps I'm in a rush. Just reading this over, yes, looks good. another score of 4, dare I say. Wow, really good work. So if I'm in a bit of a hurry, I can export this as a PDF. So I can read the full transcript here. And this is great if I'm in a bit of a rush and I don't have much time. This is a great way to see that. And I can also access this from Blackboard as well. So, looks good. Really quickly, I just want to go and switch back to the student side so I can see the results. So as a student, I can now see my results, the scores, and the video feedback as well.
Superb work.
Thank you very much. All right, so this basically completes the VivaEdu Blackboard demo. Let me know if you have any feedback or any potential improvements that I can make. I'm open to hearing all sorts of feedback and all advice. Just shoot me anything you can. The email is on the landing page down here below. I've also set up a documentation here as well. I've tried to make this software as easy as possible to learn. It can be a bit advanced in some areas, so hopefully this can help. But otherwise, thank you very much for listening in, and I'll see you guys later.